Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Cory.
And I'm Matt. And each week this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, rev our engines, or just need a little more conversation.
On this week's episode, we're diving into a little conversation I had with one Tim Kuniskis, the head of passenger cars over at FCA.
Woohoo!
I know, we're rubbing with the bigwigs now.
It.
Now, as I said earlier, this is a discussion about all things automotive. That involves you, our listener. We truly want to hear back from you. So you can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at GT Garage Talk, and let us know what you think about each and every episode. You can even shoot us an email at gtgaragetalk.com. Or just go to our website and find out more about us that way, gtgaragetalk.com. We made it really simple for you. Find out more about what we're into and what we're doing. But now, today, we're talking Fiat Chrysler Automotive, more specifically, the future of the Dodge brand, where we think they're going.
Yeah.
So,
well, to start with,
yes,
you prefaced in discussion prior to the episode that it's no longer Fiat Chrysler Group.
Yes. So, for those of you in the know, there has been a little merger brewing in the automotive landscape, and that includes our good friends over at FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automotive, and our good friends across the pond, so to say, at Peugeot.
You saying that right?
I'm saying that. I'm French. Fornicate.
Your name is French.
Yeah, I'm not French. I'm more German than I am anything else. But, so yes, there has been a merger afoot. And so legal issues are still being worked out as two companies are being married together through all legal sorts, especially when we're talking international companies. But FCA will cease to exist. And you, as of this moment, don't know their new name.
I don't.
Of this new entity that is Peugeot and Fiat Chrysler. Any guesses? You're never going to get it. But any guesses?
I'm never going to get it.
No, you're never, ever going to get it.
I mean, to me, it would make sense to do like Fiat Chrysler, Peugeot.
Yeah, it would totally make sense.
Or, you know.
Yeah, you've got Volkswagen Auto Group, I believe is what VW goes by, or VWAG.
Yeah.
You've got what was Fiat Chrysler Automotive, which was a merger in and of itself of Fiat and Chrysler. So totally makes sense. Just throw a bunch of names together.
Sure.
No.
Of course not.
No, it's not that simple. So we're going to do a little bit of word association here. As soon as I tell you the name, which I'm sure most of our listeners already know and are well in tuned to this, but as soon as I tell you the name, you're going to tell me the first thing that pops into your mind.
Okay.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Stellantis.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking like some sort of spaceship or something. Stillantis.
Stillantis.
Stellantis. Stellantis. Where they came up with that, I have no clue.
Is it like Stillantis Automotive Group? Is it?
So
or is it just
Stellantis? That's FCA and Peugeot have announced that Stellantis will be the new name of its combined automotive group. The word is a Latin root word, which means to brighten with stars. The merger should conclude in early 2021 and help facilitate Peugeot's planned return to the United States. So I will say this. I joked about being French earlier. I have been to France. And one of the interactions I had while over there with a good friend and a friend of the podcast, Brandon Kirkpatrick, I even shared this on Facebook and Instagram. My interactions with Peugeot are to the extent we helped push one out of traffic onto a bridge over the river in France to get it out of the way.
Nice.
So apparently they don't have a great history of quality and reliability, but they've been out of the American market for some time.
Yeah.
And are looking to make a return. And partnering with FCA and their dealer network, it'll be interesting to see who and where and what we get.
Yeah.
But all that to say, yes, FCA will cease to exist, and we will be getting this new merged company of merged companies called Stillantis. But in the current organizational structure of FCA, the company currently doing business over here in North America, I spoke with the Chief Executive Officer of Dodge. He's over passenger cars. He's over a majority of the SRT vehicles by his association with being over the Dodge brand. And all this was brought on from our association with the Texas Auto Writers Association. So
Cool.
Huge shout out and plug to them. We are very grateful for what they were able to arrange for us. And this information we were able to get from the source over at FCA. So Tim Kuniskis. I had to pronounce that a few times prior to hitting the record button.
Right.
It's not like I have a weird last name or anything, but
No.
just wanted to make sure I got it right because I know what it's like to have a name mispronounced.
Right.
So, it was an interesting time together. I'm not gonna lie. The first part really felt like I was sitting through Automotive 101 or Automotive History 101.
Okay.
Because Tim took us through this pre-planned media message that they want to get out, and it's why they're doing what they're doing. First and foremost was talking about the growth of SUVs. Well, I don't know what that is, but SUVs. So just as short as 2011, so 9 years ago, not that long ago, cars made up 49% of vehicles sold.
Wow.
In 2019, they have dropped to 28%.
Cut in half nearly.
Yeah. And UVs, as they define them, utility vehicles, which encompasses more than just what we think of it as SUVs.
Right. CUVs, SUVs.
I'm pretty sure minivans fall in there
Okay.
as a utility. But that was 32% of the automotive landscape in 2010, 2009, that time frame.
Can I make a guess?
Yeah.
What it is now?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, in the U.S., right?
Right.
I'm going to say 67%.
You're overshooting it just a little bit. So
Okay.
It's now 50% of the market, mostly because trucks have also increased their market share. They're now at 18%.
Gotcha.
So in our current landscape, according to FCA and the numbers they shared with us, UVs are at 50%, cars are at 28%, trucks are at 18%, and MPVs, multi-person vehicles, that's probably where minivans fall, are some minuscule dipping number from there as well, because minivans are uncool. As much as we love them here and have respect for minivans,
Absolutely.
Through our history, they're dipping off, cars are dipping off, and everybody wants some sort of utility vehicle.
Bring back the wagon.
Yes. Many companies have tried, and it just fails. Cadillac even had the CTS V wagon.
With a 6-speed manual transmission.
Rear-wheel drive, tons of horsepower.
556.
Really good looks.
Yeah.
I love the looks of them, and nobody bought them. So
Well, but so I have this thought along that line, if we care to diverge a little bit from the current conversation. I think that wagons could make a comeback if they would make them inexpensive.
yes, and that is the advantage cars have over their
Right.
SUV counterparts, is they're cheaper.
Yeah.
Because there's less material.
Now, I do understand that they can't be just like dirt cheap, because so many cars, if not all cars, are unibody now.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine it would be that much more for different stamping to punch out some side panels and a roof. I mean, to me, again, I don't work for FCA. I just talk about cars. So
Yeah. So as he pivoted into their strategy to combat this direction that the market is going, you and I have both kind of hinted at on past episodes how certain vehicles in their lineup have passed away and are no more. The Dodge Caravan is officially dead, rest in peace, at this point in time.
do we need to take a moment of silence?
We do.
That's probably enough.
That really was the forebearer of the minivan movement, and they just kind of lost market share. Toyota and Honda really stepped up their game, and then you had newcomers from Hyundai and Kia coming at you, and so GM got out of the game a long time ago. Ford recently got out of the game in the past decade or so. So it's been a long time coming. It's interesting to see the first of all of them bow out, but
Right.
The Dodge Caravan and Grand Caravan are no more. The Dodge Journey is also officially no more. So two vehicles that have soldiered on for quite some time with minimal changes have officially bowed out, and no replacement in sight for them, which leaves the Dodge brand with three vehicles. You've got the Challenger, the Charger, and the Durango.
I didn't realize the Durango was still under Dodge. I
Yeah.
thought, okay. I guess
Yeah.
I was thinking it was more on the truck side.
But they moved it over to Ram. So it is itself a unibody vehicle. And it is based off a stretched and skewed version of the Jeep Grand Cherokee platform.
Right.
So, having that knowledge as a feather in your cap, what common trait do the Challenger, the Charger, and the Durango have in common?
Hellcat.
Well, that too. We'll get to that. Because that was definitely a pillar of their strategy moving forward.
Yeah.
Now, they all date back to when Chrysler was part of Daimler Chrysler before they became part of
Right.
Fiat Chrysler.
Right.
So that's been a long time just since that has happened.
I just
And-
recently got used to not saying Daimler Chrysler
I know.
anymore in FCA, and now they're changing it again.
Stellantis, get used to it.
Whatever.
But so not only are those three cars built on old ancient platforms, they're from another company essentially. They're old Mercedes platforms. All three cars are old Mercedes platforms. Because,
Interesting.
the Durango and the Grand Cherokee are based off of the old. It's now the GLE, but it used to be the ML SUV from Mercedes.
Okay.
So that's why they've been able to go for so long. They're German engineered.
Right.
And then the E-Class is the donor car for the Challenger and the Charger,
Okay.
essentially.
Okay.
They've obviously gone through some heavy modifications
Right.
to fit their current needs. But so as he pivoted to the fact that they only have those three vehicles, he really established Dodge's mission in this world, and that was the whole wants cars, WANTS, the cars you want,
Okay.
versus the cars you need.
Okay.
And the cars you need are the little four-banger,
Right.
fuel efficient, gets you from here to there, no problem, no mess, no fuss, really cheap, no frills, don't necessarily look pretty, nothing that the enthusiast is just going to go crazy over.
Right. The Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas of the
Right.
car range.
Or the Kia Fortes, because I know last week's episode spoke so highly of Kia and
Yeah.
all their. But if you have not listened to last week's episode, go back, listen to episode 24. You'll love it.
You can pause this one right here where it's at and go, it's worth it, I
It's
promise
worth
you.
it. But Dodge wants to move out of the need niche and into the want niche. So I remember from years ago, long deceased brand Pontiac was General Motors' excitement division.
Do we need to have a moment of silence for Pontiac?
Only the Firebird and maybe the Solstice, but
So many.
the GTO. But that we've coped with the GTO, but the Firebird was the biggest loss there.
The Grand Am, the Grand Prix. I
Yeah,
mean,
I've
like,
had both of those
so
in my
many.
life.
The Torrent. I think
Yeah.
the Torrent's one of the most underrated crossover SUVs
It was
out
just
there.
a rebadged Equinox.
Unless you got the GXB.
Well, that's true. They're in their last like 3 or 4 years, they're GXPing all the things.
Well, yeah.
And putting little turbo engines and things that I kid you not, to this day, I would still love to have a Solstice GXP with a turbo 4 rear wheel drive, stick shift,
Yep.
just manual drop top.
Yep.
But we digress. We're talking about Dodge, right?
Oh yeah.
So, so yeah, they want to get out of that Me Too movement, and they want people to think about their vehicles with excitement and passion, much like General Motors used to want you to think about Pontiac vehicles,
Okay.
which the Torrent pre-GXP-ification was nothing to write home about. So, but yeah.
It was still, I would argue it was still a better looking rig than the Chevy or the GMC iteration. I liked the styling of it better,
Yeah.
but
Had a fairly cool name, Torrent.
yeah.
Unless you're caught in one.
Well,
So, and the last thing that they wanted to point out, like really hammer home to us, is that us in the automotive world, we like to just pound home, and I've already done it on this episode, how old these vehicles are and how old they date, being that the bones of them go back to when they were a completely separate company, and they're basically Mercedes manufactured products that have been heavily modified. But in the past 6 months, when you take out all the pandemic noise, their sales numbers are actually increasing.
wow.
And they're more successful now than when they launched them. So that's quite impressive. Usually it's the other way. There's a lot of
Right.
excitement about it when they come out brand new. They get a midlife refresh, where usually they get more power, more electronics, better interior, and then they kind of dwindle off and they get relaunched, and
Yeah.
such is the product.
Redesign, relaunch,
Yeah.
redesign, relaunch.
Such
yeah.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
product life cycle of vehicles.
So why isn't there an AMG black Hellcat?
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Like to have all the suspension wonderfulness
Of
of
the
the
AMG
AMG black with 740 horsepower?
Well, they don't have access to that technology anymore, Matt. So,
Again, my argument stands. Built is better than bought.
this is true. This is true. But that factory warranty is a wonderful thing. When you just take it in and say, fix it, and it gets fixed. But
If you're Hellcat swapping an AMG black, I don't think warranty really
no,
is so much of an issue.
no, you've probably got money to burn on all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you just take it back to wherever and say fix it, and they fix it and charge you thousands of dollars, and you go roast some more tires.
Yep. So, in their pursuit of being this wanted brand, that's why, as we've joked, and other automotive journalists have joked, Hellcat all the things. Being they have 3 vehicles in their lineup, and to your point earlier, the one common thread between all of them, you can get a Hellcat engine under the hood of each and every one of them. And hey, they've got our attention. They've got the attention of kids that hear that big engine rumble. And,
Oh yeah.
It's
When-
definitely
when
got
the
more
world
atten-
when the world is going EV and Formula E and all these quiet
Yes.
Mach E with 1400 supposed horsepower,
Yes.
it is refreshing to hear a blower whine and
Yes.
a traditional V8. Fair enough.
So they have the flexibility and the capability to do this because they kind of view their company holistically. And while Dodge is a standalone brand, it is sold alongside Jeeps and Chryslers, and Rams. So they have a whole portfolio of vehicles that the Dodge brand can be that excitement and desire
right.
brand and bring you all the excitement from their vehicles. And so if you want a multi-person vehicle, MPV, you can get a Chrysler Pacifica, but you're not going to get the Dodge Caravan anymore. If you want a truck to do work, you can go get a Ram. And it allows the Dodge brand to truly focus on their mission of being a desired automotive enthusiast brand. They also say they sell on horsepower, not on looks. So a point that he made was a $90,000 Challenger looks just pretty much to the average consumer like a $30,000 Challenger,
Right.
which I think is kind of a lost art from the 60s because
Yeah.
you would get a big engine dropped in a fairly mundane looking passenger car
Right.
and be able to blow everybody's wheels off at the light
Right.
and just keep on trucking. So I kind of like that as much as I am about bright colors and
Yeah.
and how I would modify certain vehicles. I also like the sleepers of the world that don't exactly scream, I've got tons of power. Look at me. Look what I can do.
Right.
Here's a giant wing. Here's this. Here's that.
So here would be my argument against it, and that would be, I just spent $90,000 on a car. I want something special,
Yes.
right? So
That special lies under the hood, though. That's where they put their money.
Right, and I understand that. You get different wheel options. You get a different hood. You get, the front splitter with the goofy plastic things that people quit are still leaving on. They don't take them off.
So I kid you not, I was at the dealership just this week. I had a recall on my wife's Jeep Cherokee. It was a software fix, basically fixed it. So I had to go to the dealership to have it fixed. And I kid you not, while I was in there waiting on it, a Challenger pulled up that still had those yellow splitter guards on it. And I just wanted to yell out the window, "You're supposed to take those off."
Yep. Yep.
But we digress.
So if Dodge is doing away with all these other vehicles, I assume then that Chrysler's keeping the 200, the 300, and what else?
200's dead.
It is.
So Chrysler's only got two vehicles.
Wow.
They've got the 300 and the Pacifica.
And the 300 is Charger based.
Right. So it also dates back to Chrysler days.
Wow.
And has only gotten marginal refreshes as the years have gone on.
It looks good.
It really does. I've loved it since they introduced the
Yeah.
Chrysler 300. But yes, it's old. It's that and the Pacifica if you want something out of Chrysler.
Wow.
So while you could hammer Dodge for only having three vehicles, Chrysler's only got two, and neither one of them's an SUV.
Right.
Which, again, SUVs by Fiat Chrysler's own numbers make up 50% of the market. So obviously that is a big problem that needs to be fixed.
Definitely.
Then you go back to his statement that they are a house of brands, and if you want this, you go here. If you want that, you go there. Obviously, the Jeep brand is nothing but SUVs.
Right.
So FCA as a company, if you take the holistic view of the company, yes, they've got plenty of SUVs for you to choose from. You've got the little baby Renegade. You've got the Compass, which is only slightly smaller than the Cherokee, which is a little bit smaller than the Grand Cherokee. And then you've got the Durango, and now we've got rumors of the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer that we're still yet to see. I would have figured we would have seen them long before we saw Ford unveil the Bronco. I've seen teaser photos that were teased to dealers like years ago,
Right.
multiple years ago.
Yeah.
So there's something in the works. We just have not seen it as automotive journalists or the public. So they are laser focused on turning Dodge into a brand that people want. And to that end, their most recent iteration, we talked about it a few weeks ago, was dropping the Hellcat engine in the Durango. Made obvious sense.
Yep.
That is not all they have done for the current Durango. They tweaked the interior. It looks basically like it transplanted straight from the Challenger. It is very driver-centric.
Okay.
And it looks like a muscle car cockpit
Cool.
just with three rows.
Yeah.
They, in fact, call their product lineup, they have the 2-door, the 4-door, and the 3-row. That's how they see
Wow.
their product portfolio. And all of them can be Hellcatified.
Wow.
And they say that SRT, so SRT, Street Racing Technology, is their in-house performance tuning. They are the reason why the Hellcat exists. They say that it is most cross-shopped with current American car. What do you think it is?
Most cross-shopped?
Yes. So the people shopping SRT are also shopping this one iconic American vehicle.
Oh. Ooh. I want to guess, but I don't want to guess wrong. I'm going to say Coyote Mustang.
Think more iconic.
How do you get more iconic than the Mustang?
Chevrolet Corvette. 1953.
No.
1953 versus 1964 and a half. Yes, the Corvette is definitely more iconic.
So people go looking for a 5,000-pound, 740 horsepower muscle car, or a ripped-off Ferrari with a Chevy badge on the front.
Made out of plastic, yes. Yeah. Yes. They say that the Corvette is the #1 cross-shop vehicle with their lineup of SRT vehicles. Yes.
Interesting.
And they say it's a natural cross-shop because the intent is a fun, fast car.
Right.
Which a Corvette is. A Corvette.
For two people.
Yes. Which is where they have the advantage because the challenger of the big three automakers that play in the pony car arena, Camaro, Mustang, Challenger. The Challenger is the biggest and the most daily livable. It's got
the heaviest.
It's got the most usable rear seat. It's got the biggest trunk. But yes, definitely the heaviest. Probably the worst handler of the bunch.
Definitely.
So you could go fast in a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
Yeah.
But, they say no real big European brands cross-shopping, which does not really surprise me.
Okay.
If you're looking for American muscle.
Yeah, it's kind of supercharged V8. There's not much out there other than, a lot of aftermarket stuff.
Built versus bought. There you go.
Yep.
So that really got me excited because at the very end, there was an opportunity for Q&A. And like I said, this was a multi-person event, online event that I was able to take part of due to our connection with the Texas Auto Writers Association. So I was not the only one there. But given the direction that we as Garage Talk see the industry going and the fact that just that morning, General Motors had started teasing again the Hummer EV super pickup truck, as they are dubbing it, the world's first super truck.
Yeah.
Electrification is becoming a thing.
Definitely.
You alluded to it earlier, the Mach-E prototype that Ford Performance released with RTR Motorsports. It has an alleged 1,400 horsepower and 7 electric motors. So, naturally, the question has to be asked of the guy heading up SRT and all their performance vehicles is what happens when the Hellcat isn't relevant anymore?
Right.
And what are their plans for electrification? So, given the venue, given who he was speaking to, he could not divulge any trade secrets or anything, and I wasn't expecting that with my question. He did kind of shed some light on where FCA views electrification as a long-term strategy. So he says he himself very personally excited about electrification.
Good.
He loves the possibilities that it entails, the instant torque, the crazy acceleration, pretty much everything SRT stands for.
Right.
Just excitement out of the gates. But he did acknowledge that there are some massive hurdles that the automotive industry as a whole has to tackle before it really becomes a viable contender to the Hellcat engine craze that we're seeing right now, at least in their eyes.
Right. Well, there's the charging grid, right?
Yes.
There's a gas station on every corner.
Yes.
There's not a charging station at every corner.
Even Tesla, who is highly touted with their supercharger network and everything great that they've got going on, the leader of the industry, and that is one of their advantages over pretty much any other automaker is their supercharger network. If you go on their website, we're here in Tyler, Texas. If you try and find a Tesla supercharger in Tyler, Texas, you will not find one. So for my day-to-day, I'm not going to be plugging into a supercharger. Granted, I'm not really going to need one because I can charge for my needs at home.
Right.
But there is not one immediately close. The closest one to us, we're about 10 miles off the interstate.
Yeah.
There's one on the interstate.
Okay.
Which logically makes sense. They've strategically placed them along interstates, at places with food and rest areas and things
Right.
of that nature. But again, the leader of the electrification movement still hasn't really infiltrated our city
Right.
with their charging network. And there are even complaints that in larger cities that they are in, there will be people waiting in line to charge their electric vehicles. And it's been the 70s since people truly legitimately waited in line
Yeah.
for gas.
Mhm.
So yes, that is
That-
a major hurdle.
And see, for me, like, I realize I think a little differently than probably the average electric vehicle purchaser. However, if my vehicle won't make it to work and back on one charge,
Yeah.
I'm not buying an electric vehicle.
Right.
Period.
So I've had the conversation with my wife about us going electric.
Right.
I've joked with you. We've already gone all electric with our yard maintenance. I've got an electric mower, an electric weed eater, and all that stuff. For the most part, it works out very well for us. But an electric mower is not going to leave me stranded 400 miles from home
Right.
or wherever I'm going. Range anxiety is a huge hurdle that has to be overcome before mass widespread adoption of electric vehicles is
Right.
a thing.
Yeah. I mean, so I make semi-regular trips to Oklahoma City and to Tulsa. I've got family in both of those cities. 365 miles from East Texas, Tyler, where we're at,
Right.
to Oklahoma City, and it's pretty close to about the same to Tulsa also.
Right.
To get to Oklahoma City from here, the fastest route is through Dallas. Most EVs have a range of 400 miles.
You're going to be stopping in Dallas charging for about 30 minutes before you finish that
Right,
trip out.
because the risk is
Yep.
I get into stop and go traffic in Dallas for 20 minutes, and now my 400 mile range just went to 280 because I've got the AC on full blast because it's 110 degrees outside.
And all Teslas come with glass roofs.
So, I mean, like, yeah, that's
Yeah. So he did acknowledge there are some hurdles that they have to overcome before they really jump headlong as Ford and General Motors have.
it's a big investment.
It really is. And I'm honestly wondering if maybe they're playing it too cautious because as we record this, we are anticipating the announcement of Cadillac's new all-electric Lyric crossover. And that is the first of many all-electric vehicles coming out of General Motors. They have invested huge. They've partnered with Honda on an electric platform. So there's two major automakers that have gone in on Ultium. Then you've got Volkswagen Auto Group, who came out with the ID3. That's their first real serious all-electric vehicle that they're targeting towards the masses. And you right there, just in that, you've got a huge chunk of the market
Oh, definitely.
leaps and bounds ahead of you if
Right.
you're not there. And
Well, I remember watching shows on television probably close to 10 years ago of designers at General Motors, kids in college or just fresh out of college in design studio situations being hired by GM to come in and design vehicles for their skateboard platform
Right.
that they had already been formulating and putting together and modifying and so and again we're talking 7, 8, 10 years ago that happened. So yeah, if Fiat Chrysler, or what, it's not Fiat Chrysler anymore,
Stellantis.
if Stellantis isn't already investing and beginning to move towards, they're going to be 10 years behind everybody else.
So I have this feeling. So they've got the plug-in hybrid Chrysler Pacifica minivan. So they do have some electrification in their current portfolio. They've teased the 4xe Wrangler,
Right.
all electric,
Yep.
cross
True.
whatever. The Wrangler is the Wrangler. It's an all-electric Wrangler. They've got a 4xe, I believe, overseas of the little Renegade because it's essentially a Fiat, rebadged Fiat
Right.
anyway. So they've got stuff. I just don't think they've gone all in like the other guys have. They have not invested big. In fact, GM's investment big on electric has kind of left them high and dry when it comes to performance, Camaro, and off-roading, Blazer. They've been so laser focused on this electric future that they're kind of missing the mark in the current.
Definitely.
So I really am interested to see the Cadillac Lyriq, and all the chips are on the table.
Definitely.
With General Motors, and they have to win with the Lyriq, and they have to win at least somewhat with
the Hummer.
With the Hummer, and you've got some auto bloggers and automotive journalists already saying, nope, it's going to fail. There's a YouTube channel you and I both watch that tried towing with a Tesla Model X and had to give up halfway through the trip. It just was not working.
Right.
And that is going to be the Hummer's biggest hurdle.
Absolutely.
Trucks are meant to tow. And if you can't tow any decent distance with an electric vehicle, you've got a problem.
It's a tool. They're designed to work. That's what pickups are for. So
and you can't have range anxiety with a work truck. And so the Hummer is going to be a play truck.
Right.
Is what it's going to be. It's going to be something you don't want to take far away from home. It's going to be something that is incredibly capable close to home.
Yeah.
Unless they've got some trick up their sleeve that we're just
totally
clueless to, which I'm hoping that they are. That would make that very fun and interesting vehicle.
Here's a thought. Ford just released the new F-150. And one of the options that it has is a built-in generator.
Right.
I wonder, with their new, because they partnered with Rivian about 4 or 5 years ago,
Right.
and have been working on joint projects, I'm sure, since. I wonder if that generator would be a range extender for the F-150.
Yeah.
Because, it makes sense to me. Again, I'm not in that industry. I don't understand all the technical details of how all that works just yet, but you got to have electricity, and when you don't have a place to plug in, a generator is your next best option. So,
Yeah. Which was kind of what the Chevy Volt was. It was a quote unquote all electric vehicle with a gasoline generator to back it up.
That's what was it the Fisker or
Fisker Karma?
Yeah.
Yeah. It similar concept. They took a little different route to it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So all that to say, FCA, soon to be Stellantis, still hesitant to jump headlong into electrification.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to performance. He did allude to, however, that the electric boom that we are seeing develop before our eyes is going to be akin to the hot rod movement of the 40s and the 50s and even into the 60s and 70s before the gas crisis.
Very cool.
Because he sees it as, in order for electric vehicles to really take on, the high volume mass majority of vehicles need to be all electric. And that means you're boring your mundane cars that Dodge, by their own mandate, are trying to get away from.
Right.
Really need to be leading the charge. That way you build up the charging infrastructure. And then he sees it as people tinkering and tweaking with those and hot rodding them out basically from there, because it's really easy to give a power boost. You just put a bigger electric motor or a faster electric motor in your mundane everyday car. So
yeah,
it will be interesting to see, especially if that is the viewpoint of the head of a major automotive brand.
Sure.
In addition to the charging network, he also said price point is a big prohibitive factor. So even Tesla has come out and said that their biggest struggle right now is price point. The Model 3, which is supposed to be their cheapest entry vehicle, still you're going to be paying $40,000 to get the one that you quote unquote really want, not the one that you're settling for,
Right.
with the options that you want and things like that. Now, granted, maintenance is going to be a whole different story coming out of the gates, but yeah. So he expects to see, Tim Kuniskis from FCA, expects more mild hybrid mainstream vehicles, and he sees it as being a little bit slower process as they build up that economy of scale.
Yeah.
But I do see the big bets by the big guys like General Motors really accelerating this whole process.
Well, as most of our listeners know, I'm sure, we love competition here at Garage Talk.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, bring it on. As soon as they want to, bring it on.
So that kind of takes us into just a little word from our sponsors. And we're back. So prior to hitting the record button, Matt, you teased me with a funny story, automotive related.
So, yeah, I have kind of a motorsports story of sorts, much less related to mainstream automotive news,
Right.
much more personal. I got into a bar fight this weekend.
Oh, really?
I did.
Do tell.
I figured that would get your attention.
Yes.
I am not a bar goer. I don't know what to do in bars if I'm ever in one. I could probably count on one hand the number of bars I've been in, and most of those were from bachelor parties from friends of mine or things like that. It's not a place that I hang out.
Right.
But over the weekend, I kind of got into a fight with some handlebars.
Okay.
As you know, my wife and I recently purchased a 2009 Sea-Doo GTX Wake 155.
A jet ski.
A jet ski, and it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. You can run 60 miles an hour on the water. It's ridiculous. Pull a tube with it, all kinds of fun. Also, I think we've had the jet ski for about 2 or 2.5 months, and my wife's birthday was this past weekend.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, and we so we went out to the lake. It's what she wanted to do. It's a milestone birthday. I'm not going to tell you how old she is because that's just not right. It was a milestone birthday for her, so we decided, or she decided, that she wanted to go to the lake. We'll invite a bunch of people out. We got another friend with a boat. We'll go out and spend the day on the water, just having fun, cutting up, having a good old time.
Sounds like a good weekend to me.
It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. Well, in the process, before too many people got there, she had been out on the jet ski a couple of times. I had gone out a time or two, and I'd been dragging Grant, our oldest, around on the tube a little bit. He'd been falling off here and there and trying to get the hang of the new tube that we got. Well, I went out for a little bit.
To be fair, you were trying to throw him off a little too, weren't you?
I mean, like,
just a little bit of fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. No, it's a cool tube. It's kind of halfway steerable, so he was really trying to get the hang of how to hang on and where to sit and all that. And then I would hammer on it and sling him off of it. So, it is a lot of fun. But I was out by myself, just buzzing around and, cutting donuts, jumping my own wake, that kind of a thing. And it kind of got away from me a little bit.
Uh-oh.
I've done a couple of donuts in one direction, turned around and done a couple back the other direction. So there's some big swells kind of coming together and whatnot. And I'm standing towards the back, leaning on the front handlebars of the jet ski, and turned into one of these wakes, and the nose of the boat dropped away from me. And when it hit the water, my left hand slipped off the handlebars, and I tackled the handlebars on my way off the side of the jet ski.
Who won that fight, Matt?
Ski won. Ski definitely won that one. Yeah, I've got a good little mark here on my neck. My shoulder's still pretty tender. Yeah.
See, it's stories like that always play in the back of my head before I do anything stupid. in cars or in any sort of powered vehicle that I am commandeering. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It's why I mind my P's and Q's.
Oh yeah. No, and see, that would have been smart, right? That would have been.
But smart isn't fun.
No. Well, it's
You live and you learn, right?
Yeah.
Before we leave you this week, we just want to reiterate something that we are very excited about and very passionate about here at Garage Talk, and that is our very first car show.
Are you sure you're excited, Cory?
Our very first car show. Yes, I am quite excited. We have been working for months, getting the back end kind of all the details ironed out on the back end, and we announced just last week that we have opened up registration for our very first car show. It's called the Unlikely Heroes Car Show.
Yeah. So what does that mean, Cory?
So I highly encourage you to go back, listen to episode 24 to get the full story and how this all came to be.
Yes.
But basically, it's a car show for the rest of us. You and I both do not have rigs that would typically find their way into a car show.
Right.
Typically, car shows are collectors' vehicles, brand new vehicles,
hot rods,
crazy, insane, modified vehicles, overpriced vehicles, you name it. Not your everyday car. So
you mean not a Oxford White crew cab 2008 Ford F-150 XLT 4x4?
Nope.
With a camper shell?
And definitely not a 2013 Chevy Cruze Eco with a nice dent in the front fender. Yeah, definitely not room in most car shows for vehicles of that nature. And one of our listeners, Spencer, again, go listen to episode 24, you'll love it, came to the conclusion that there needed to be a car show to celebrate the unsung heroes, the unlikely heroes of our day-to-day.
Yeah.
Those that do the dirty work, that take us and rack up the miles day in and day out, that don't have to be put on a trailer to show up at a car show.
No kidding.
So you drive up to the car show in it, you open the doors, you sit outside, and you tell people the story of how you got that 200+ thousand miles on the odometer. You tell the story behind that dent. You tell the story of why you've got duct tape holding the fender on. You tell the story of why you've got zip ties holding the mirror on. You tell the story of why you have a household handhold mirror for your driver's side rear view mirror. Those are the stories we want to share. Those are the stories we want to tell. Those are the stories we want to hear from you. So if any of that sounds like your daily driver or a vehicle in your fleet, we want to hear from you. Go to gtgaragetalk.com/car show and register your vehicle for our car show.
Where was that?
gtgaragetalk.com/car show.
/car show.
You can't miss it. Even if you go to GT Garage Talk, there's a big banner. You click on the banner, it'll take you right there. But we want to see all the high mileage vehicles. We want to see all the dents and dings and rust and duct tape and zip ties and do-it-yourself home repairs.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to see. The interesting stories, the cars that just normally wouldn't get all the love in the world from a car show, they're going to get it here from us.
Nice.
Now, the problem is we are midst pandemic as we're planning this, and so we are planning this to be COVID safe. And that being said, it's kind of limited our capacity on how many vehicles can be registered in and entered into this. So space is limited. Be sure if you've got a vehicle that fits this mold, register now, and we will keep you updated on all the process of getting your vehicle here and all that. But here in Tyler, Texas, we very much want this to be a car show, unlike any other.
I have a rumored vehicle or a rumor of a vehicle that may be appearing.
Oh, I can't wait.
With a for sale sign in the window.
Oh, my goodness.
At the car show.
We've got several very good vehicles already lined up for this, just in our close circle of influence. So I just can't wait to see all the vehicles that come in on this. And we're still working out the details with sponsors and different packages, but there will be an awards show. There will be a live stream from Matt and I as we give out the awards. And so, like I said, you can find out all that at gtgaragetalk.com/car car show. So all that to say, you don't want to miss what we've got coming up here at Garage Talk. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned and in the works. Right, Matt?
We do, definitely, including next week's episode.
Yes.
You're excited about the car show. I'm excited about next week's episode.
Next couple of weeks.
Definitely.
Maybe. So we are very excited about the future of Garage Talk, and we want to hear back from you. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at GT Garage Talk, or you can email us at gtgaragetalk@gmail.com. And let us know your thoughts and opinions about this episode, the future of Dodge, future of electrification, and everything that's going on there, or just give us your opinions. And until next time, bye.